Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Hi Didi, what's up? I'm sure a lot is going on with hockey and football and stuff. It's this time of the year.
It is this time of the year. So let's start with the
last day in January when we are recording.
Yes, let's start with the sad news. I think I hinted it briefly in our previous recording that people are off. That people want blood in Boston with regards to sports. The Celtics have been embarrassing in some occasions as a team that was supposed to repeat a championship. They don't look like the team that will repeat a championship. The Bruins are shitting the bed. They are completely shitting the bed. We are recording Friday the 31st?
Yep, last day of Jan.
Yes. And they've been trunched by the Winnipeg Jets twice in the season. One 8-1 and yesterday 6-2.
I assume it's not the best team.
It's the best team in the West. It is the best team in the West.
Okay.
But that disparity is just depressing, especially considering that the fact that they were tied 2-2 for like 3 seconds in the third period.
That's like Omri's games.
No, Omri's games is he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't try. Even games that he can single-handedly win, he just doesn't give a fuck because.
Let's be honest. He is probably the only goal scorer on the team. Him and Charlie.
It doesn't matter.
The last few days, last few games.
It doesn't matter.
He cares about being the only one who scored goals more than winning, and that's a problem.
Yes,
that's why we are kind of like beating him hard at home.
Yes,
for like not.
Yes,
he cares about scoring, but not about winning.
Yes,
it's not good enough.
It's not. It's the lack of effort. You see,
not good enough.
Right now, I've been getting blasted by a shitload of Tom Brady marketing material. I'm guessing that they're listening to the podcast. You can see that
that's it's called retargeting. You visited his website once. He cookied you. Now
whatever. He is insane competitive. The guy is just insane. And in Super Bowl news, yes, Josh Allen made that 4th and 1. I think there's nobody in the world that thinks otherwise. I think
is Super Bowl next week?
I think
next weekend.
Yes. I do think though that they had enough plays in them that they should have won. If you would have given the ball to Tom Brady with 4 minutes to go and 3 under, there's no question what the outcome of the game would be, right?
Well, that happened against the Chiefs the last time they faced them in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Because the Chiefs couldn't close, and it was kind of like the reverse of what's happening now. By the skin of their teeth, they had a key penalty, and the Patriots took advantage.
Yep.
I'm so sick of Mahomes. Oh God.
I don't care that one way or the other. But the thing
Mahomes,
I do. But the throw that even when they kind of the O-line didn't hold up and Josh Allen it looked like he threw a Hail Mary. He hit the guy in the hands.
Yeah, it was almost a perfect pass.
Yes, it's insane. That guy is he deserves better than that team.
It's true.
I think if I'm Buffalo, I'm calling North Carolina and saying, for one game, we need the asshole. Can you give us the asshole? He's not very good in human relationship, but to finish a game the right way, I'm not doubting Bill.
Belichick will jump to the NFL, don't you think?
Of course he will.
Yeah.
Of course he will. So, especially if he can stick it to Kraft and play in Buffalo, that would be so fun. This is so newsworthy. If I'm Buffalo, I am calling about Belichick. Belichick can get them over the hump. So that's kind of my sporting thoughts for this.
You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here first on the Didi and Lital Show.
Yes.
That Belichick is going Buffalo?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
This is me.
Let's get back to it and see if that happens.
Yes. the other thing is that there was this tragic event
last night.
Not last night.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
About the air traffic controllers. The troll in chief said a whole bunch of stuff that I would rather he not say, because he blames DEI for everything under the sun.
Yeah, it's like now something bad happens, blame DEI.
Yes.
It's like air traffic controllers,
And
DEI.
yes, and the left are blaming him for firing everybody, and we both know
Which
that.
he hasn't done yet because he's been in charge for a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like crazy.
It's
Crazy shit. Like the reality is that they really have a resource problem for years
Yep.
of air traffic controllers. And basically, I think there is. I heard the podcast talking about air traffic control, and it's a miracle we don't have such events on a daily basis. Like
Yep.
they have an almost hit almost on a daily basis.
Yep.
Almost like
Yep.
everywhere. If people knew the stats, I don't know if we were flying, if we were actually thinking about it.
We are a bunch of monkeys on a mud ball flying at insane speeds through space between tons of debris. We are one asteroid away from being the dinosaurs. I don't give a fuck about risk. So that's
And actually dying on a plane, it's really fast.
it's better than a diaper like my grandparents.
True. So
I rather die on a plane crash
that's unfortunate.
than yes.
But yeah, but that made you think that you want to send your daughter to be a traffic controller.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Leah, you've seen her on the podcast. What do
Yeah.
you think? She's a
Leah
good fit?
has brass balls. She has nerves of steel, and
She's ruthless.
She's ruthless.
fearless. She
She's
has no
fearless.
fear. Yeah.
except when she stands on like a green slope in ski.
Yeah. She has physically, she has fears, but mentally she doesn't actually. Yeah, that's true.
Especially when she reverses the minivan into the neighbor while talking to my mom about
She
Ron's
was
date.
fearless. She was like, nothing happened. Yeah. I mean, motor skills not, but decision making and
Yes.
kind of like be on top. She could do it.
Yes.
Well, we'll send her to the Israeli
Army.
Air Force.
Yes.
That actually a lot of girls are doing
Yes.
this job. The problem is she likes sleeping, and this is a job of constant sleep deprivation.
No, that's
I don't know about her decision making when she's hangry.
when she's hungry.
She
Yes.
needs to eat. She needs to sleep. She needs to be. When she's like on top, like she will be the best.
Yes.
Traffic controller.
I agree.
Do they make a good living?
I'm sure they do.
It's on demand job for sure.
I'm sure that they do. It's a lot more money than a social worker. So I think that's a
Different type of stress.
yes.
I think it's more manageable stress, actually. Like caring about other people's problems versus caring about objects flying in the air and not colliding with each other.
I think I trust her. And by the way,
Leah, we have a job for you.
we have a job for you. Also, with that conversation, we also learned about the Israeli army and women in combat. I think the Israeli army is amazing at managing DEI in
The right way.
the right way.
Yeah. The women in combat are used the right way. And by the way,
Yeah,
on
that's
October,
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
what is it? Mid-career, you're making 100,000 to 150,000.
These are the air traffic controller salaries, which can get up to over $200,000
Not bad.
with
Okay.
overtime and bonuses.
Yeah, again, you don't
Yep.
sleep deprived, but
Yep. Yep.
you paid well for overtime for being sleep deprived.
Yes.
Maybe they're not sleep deprived. Like I think they're not allowed to work on a shift for more than 6 hours. Or so.
I think you're making shit up, but yes.
Whatever. Maybe it was back in the days. Well, we also found out, going back to China and stuff. I found out this week reading something that all the leadership of Israeli military is driving Chinese EVs.
Yeah.
So the IDF is from a certain level and up, one of your benefits is you get a car, and all the car fleet of the military was changed in the last few years. There was like a contract going, and they decided to go with the cheapest possible Chinese electric vehicle. What can go wrong when you
like
do
pagers?
that?
What could go wrong if you buy pagers, the cheapest pagers possible?
Yeah.
What can go wrong with
Yeah.
that one, right?
I wonder if somebody ever thought about it. I hope they replace it soon. I mean, that is insane.
Well, it is also possible that somebody actually did the math and said, you know what? Apparently, everybody has car controllers AI coming from China. So unless we buy an Elon, we probably have to, we're stuck with China regardless.
Even if you buy Elon, you don't know who owns it. So that's fine.
you know with Elon.
Yeah. So going back today to some identity talk,
Yes,
and
not the wrong identity, the right identity, the one that pays our salaries, not the DEI
identity
part.
security
Yes,
and access
correct.
management, the topics that we make a living out of.
Yes.
And you wanted to bring a topic that we haven't discussed yet, which we talked a lot about prevention. We talked a lot about, using the right technology and the way to think about identity management. But we didn't bring up the reality, which is
Everybody gets popped.
everybody gets popped. If you're using still passwords, credential theft is real, and people are using passwords. That's the reality. All those other kind of MFA bypass is happening.
Or if somebody even steals your session cookie. If I steal your Entra ID session cookie,
Basically, man in the middle, man in the browser,
doesn't
all
matter
those kind
how.
of attacks.
Now I have the cookie. I have it forever.
Yeah. So people are being popped. And if you have some tools, you may know about it. I know that there are a lot of startups right now that can give you information if a user credentials are part of a big dump in the dark web. There are others that are doing all kinds of different stuff. You have technology to look at all kinds of issues. And the question for today, what do people need to do in IT, in identity and security to remediate, to stop that once you know there is an issue?
Yes. So, and by the way, there's been a lot of startups recently. There's at least 3 or 4 startups that were raised over $20-something million for seed in identity security or AI identity security or related things with identity.
There are tons in the non-human NHI, non-human identities.
Space.
They're like,
which is a big problem to
dozens of them.
remediate, which is even a bigger problem to remediate, and I'll talk about that very, very, very soon. So the first, I'll start with on my shoulder because
of course,
I never compliment myself.
yeah,
But
especially on the professional side of things.
yes, as our troll-in-chief says, I am huge. I have built the best technology ever. I have solved everything. So this week, we really had some really cool demos because we've been able to simplify identity risk significantly with our recent feature of trust scores, which is out there. And it shows the individual user and their relevant trust level and what made their trust level change. It's a lot like, let's call it credit scores, because unlike everybody says, well, somebody just logged in from China with your, doesn't care. I don't care. This is more like a credit score, which changes over a long period of time, and you slowly erode your trust score, and you can't jump from one trust score to another, but we see who on a regular basis does.
So you're scoring users
You're scoring users.
based on some risk policy that you have?
No, based on a lot of events that they're doing.
Okay.
Based on everything you do, eventually it's very much like your credit score.
So it's a little bit like UEBA, the way you would assume.
No. UEBA was a single event risk management element.
Okay. So you're not looking at anomalies, you look at everything.
We
they
look at
do,
everything
and
you do,
score it.
And we score it. It could be your normal behavior, by the way.
Yeah.
For example, one of the things that we highlighted with the security team is the Talos team looks really, really bad, and they should look really, really bad because they're
that's what they do.
That's what they
Talos
do.
team at Cisco, the red teaming, the
Exactly. They are the security. They're
the
basically
inside.
They are doing security research, and they are trying to break systems. The people that try to break systems, they should
look like hackers.
They should look like hackers because
that's how you train your model.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
So they look bad, and we need to think of how to address some of those things. But the thing is that the system is amazing about is that it's not very sensitive, and it has very good false positive rates because we rather not alert. There's a lot of UEBA and Splunk tools and a million things that
create tons of false positive that nobody can handle.
That nobody can handle. We rather not create a lot of noise. We rather miss some attacks.
Okay.
But when we tell you that somebody's doing something bad,
you know for sure it's bad.
You know for sure it's bad. And so far, we've had a couple of findings in various places, each of which did one of two things. Highlighted a big gap in the policy that nobody understood, or highlighted risky behavior that requires immediate attention.
And what I assume is, in most cases, risky behavior is potentially compromised user.
It's potentially compromised user. It's access to sensitive applications on a new basis. It's basically a whole bunch of activities that it's something that requires immediate. We have yet to have a high risk that the security teams that we addressed did not say, no, we something here is wrong. We need to either fix the policy, or we need to fix the user. But it also highlighted, because there's products that we have that consume that trust score. It started raising the question: how do people self-remediate or remediate an identified true positive identity breach? So there's the easy case to remediate. What's the easy case to remediate?
Wipe the machine.
No.
Change
I'm talking
credentials.
If I block you, if I breach your account, but it's what is called the Highlander use case.
What is the Highlander use case?
Producer Dave, are you from? Have you seen the movie, right?
Oh, Highlander?
Yes.
I never got into Highlander.
There can be only one.
There can be only one. I know
There
that.
can be only one. Everybody knows the Highlander thing.
Okay. I missed that.
Movie, Sean Connery,
Yeah.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
He's a Scottish guy with a French accent, fighting with swords, beheading each other. There can be only one. There's what is called the attack vector, that there can be only one. I steal your password. I call support and reset the MFA, and therefore there's...
You hijacked my account.
I hijacked your
basically, and
account.
You now impersonate
can't,
me.
You can't log in.
Okay.
And
I cannot log in, or
you
I can
cannot.
still
You
log in?
cannot log in.
Okay. Only the
hacker
the
can.
hacker.
This is an easier case to remediate. It's not easy, but it's easier to remediate, because what we'll do is we will try to kill all the sessions, purge everything out of the system. It's still, at this point in time, with most security systems, there is no easy way to purge things.
All applications.
Because Slack has Evercookies, Microsoft Office has Evercookies, unless you set the policy that there's a reset password activity. There's a million of these things.
So you need to go application by application and kill it.
And this is, as I said, this is the easy one.
Yep.
Because we've seen cases where there was an Evercookie, and that was used then again to take over the account. But there's no easy solution like, hey, just Lital, just MFA and your risk goes away. In most cases, when the account was compromised and the behavior was risky and the account was compromised, there's no easy way to reset. There's no just verify that you are who you are and you're good to go. There's usually a lot of times there's a need to either purge the machine or purge the accounts and purge the applications. And that's the easy one, which, as I said, there can be only one. There's a much worse one. The worst one is when some of the configuration of systems, when I get one of those Evercookies and I run in parallel to you, I register another factor.
Yep.
And that happens a lot of times over breaks, that somebody calls in and says, you know what, I had this problem. Keep the old number, but I need to register a new phone for now because I have a temporary phone. The temporary phone thing happens a lot. Somebody registers another phone number, and then you'll have basically the say you can still work, and it takes a much longer time to detect because you're not going to complain. You're not going to call support and say, "Hey, I've been locked out," because you can still work. The running in parallel, there is no way to remediate. And when somebody says, well, just verify Lital, and I say, okay, I verified Lital. Lital still is Lital. And there's the whole list of sessions that she runs in, and those are okay.
But don't you see from which device it's coming? And don't you see it's a device that was recently added?
I do see that, but now you need to...
You don't know if the device is mine or not, because you don't have a tool like Beyond Identity when
it's possible
that is a way.
Some of the tools able to do this, Okta and Microsoft.
And you may need
And
to use
ping-
together, those services like name tag or others for,
Even-
recovery.
You need to do a
be
lot of recovery, and you need to have a process in place. And this is the thing that really is missing with a lot of the organizations. Now
it's
that
identity proofing. It's the whole solution, but that's the prevention. You're already in the oh shit moment. You understand
even
this is
even
happening.
with the prevention, how do I get back? And very much like credit score, it takes a very long time to dig yourself out of this mess. Because as long as you leave something behind, you can always go back.
So you want to make sure this second device that have your second factors, your MFA or whatever, is being removed.
Yes.
Now
Now
you're not sure it is.
Now I'll give you another case that is even more problematic. Let's say this is risky behavior that is allowed by the policy. How does the user self-remediate with that?
Give me an example. Give me an example of something like that.
For example, the system has decided that you can access the Okta admin console without trusted devices or without going over VPN or
It
something.
means that somebody set the policy to enable it
Somebody set the policy wrong
in a way that enables it.
that enables bad behavior.
Yeah.
And
That privileged users will be able to
and certain privileged users
authenticate
exactly.
to the admin console without the right security measures.
Yes. Now, the admins have been doing the bad behavior for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the policy was not. The Talos example is another good example of this is people doing their job, but they're doing something in a very risky way.
They want to see that the policy is broken.
You want
so
to see,
can
and they
correct
see that the policy
policy
is not broken, then they continue doing something with the policy is not broken.
Right.
How do you remediate those users? Because now the thing that is actually broken is not the user.
It's now your entire kind of the way Okta is set. Because the
It's the
guy
way-
that actually did it can go and now change your Okta
Yes.
policies
Yes.
and do more
The-
persistent damage to you.
Exactly. So this is situation that you're talking about is it's not that the user is broken. The user is highlighting a case where the system is broken.
That's why policy needs to be. There's so many issues with wrong configuration of policies,
Yes.
especially for admins on IDPs, and not having secure by default configurations is part of the problem, in my
Correct.
opinion. That's like, again, this already happens and you have those systems and kind of Chinese menu of 10,000 flavors instead of one path of least resistance, that it's like you need to proactively go and change it from the secure configuration. I think that's the problem when, you are getting those like very well-known IDPs, the Oktas, if you know what you're doing, if your admin knows what they're doing, that is great, superb. The thing is that there are so many options and so many flavors in the Chinese menu that the chances that they don't make a mistake, and over time with people moving around, changing, people actually know what's going on and what was the previous setup versus what you're changing and stuff, and people touching policy, this is dangerous. I think
it's even more complicated than you
nobody
think.
knows the thing.
There's also what is called processing order. A lot of times there's an assumption that you know how the processing order of your IDP's policy works like. In most cases, it behaves in a certain way, and then they discover that it's a bug. You built the policy based on the set of bugs.
You think it's like Leia.
You think that the processing order works in a certain way, and they discover it's a bug, and they fix a bug, and suddenly your policy that was secure breaks, and you don't know this
until something happens, so you'll never know.
You'll never know until somebody. And Duo did something very, very smart, and I really like it, which is called the policy calculator. But even then, you need to know to ask the question of you need to basically be able to know to ask if it means what you think it means. It's basically now another movie reference. This is the Inigo Montoya reference, because the little guy keeps saying inconceivable, 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 and then Inigo Montoya tells him, "You keep saying that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means."
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean?
What does that word?
You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what
you think it means. Exactly.
I will shamelessly plug my company here, because at Beyond Identity, I think part of what people work on is to actually make the admin use case the most secure possible. So we will, by design, not provide the gazillion Chinese menu stuff, and actually limit it to those cases that we think are secure and you should follow. And that's it. It brings me back to my days at P&G, and the choices that people have. People always think more choice is good. More choice is confusing and make a lot of shoppers in store give up and not shop. That's I listened to a wonderful podcast about Costco. 4 hours, kind of like getting into the details of how Costco became Costco. Sorry for taking us a little bit, but I think
take it away.
Will get the metaphor.
I do rumbling. You can do rumbling.
Yeah. So Costco versus Walmart, the secret of like why they're so profitable. So part of it is that they completely remove your kind of shopping dilemmas. They usually, for each type of product you're looking for, will only have 2 options. They'll have, the best in class, most expensive one in the market, or highest quality one in the market that you get then in bulk. So per unit, it will be the cheapest you can get on the market. And then the Kirkland brand, which is still high quality. And so no choice. People think, oh my God, that's terrible. Like, I want to have the options of buying 10,000 cereals.
Costco is always right. Costco is always right. If Costco doesn't carry it, it means that you don't need it.
You know why? Because when you buy at Costco, you have a level of trust that they did their homework and they chose the best.
Correct.
So the 2 options that you have, the branded one and the unbranded one with Kirkland, are actually the best options, and it's also served to you at the best cost possible. That's kind of like the trust you have with the brand, and they kept it going. So you don't need 10,000 different yogurts or 10,000 different cereal. You're getting the best you can get, the best diaper. So going back to the Oktas versus what we do at Beyond Identity, we think we can do the homework And that's kind of our specialty, understanding security very well, understanding the right configurations, giving you the least possible options to make the wrong routes and taking the route that is unsecure. So that's the philosophy. It's the Costco thing of less is more.
You know what the problem with that philosophy? You know what the problem with that philosophy?
What?
It makes the sales cycle very problematic.
Why?
So
Because people think they want choice
no, it's because people have done bad things
and they're used to that.
and they're used to bad. So one of the
They're
things
used
that
to
we had
Walmart.
with Ort, one of the things we had a problem with Ort, and we had also with the Duo private preview when we were in private preview before we were in public preview, is our PMs used to talk to customers, and the customer said, "Well, we need to do exception list," and I said, "No, you don't. You need to actually understand why you get these alerts, and if you can explain to me why it's good practice to remove this alert, I'll remove this alert."
Mm-hmm.
And in 99% of the cases, it's just salespeople and PM cases and support people laziness that they don't want to argue with the customer.
Yeah, it means education, and you're not necessarily knowing how to explain it.
Yes, and it makes it
if
a
a
high.
customer asks for something, you need to say, yes, we have it, versus this is bad. And let's change your mindset to you actually don't need it, and come try and see. The admins become really happy when they have less choice.
Yes.
It's less work. It's less of a headache.
Yes, and
They
that goes
know
back
for
to
sure what is, and it's not a kind of like, people call things black box versus, they want to have all the options to move things around. But when they move things around, it's so complex that it is a black box. Yes, you can open it, but if you open a box and it has all the wires kind of tangled together, you will never going to untangle them. You'd rather have two wires and that's it.
So this is the interesting thing. Back to my trust score example, is that people the knee jerk reaction of a lot of the security teams is, I want to push button to make this go away. And I said, but it can't go away.
Especially when you need to remediate.
Especially when you need to remediate, and the remediation is hard work.
Yeah, of course.
And this is where
time to remediate is something you actually measure versus time for setup. It's not something.
Yeah, and this is something that I really, really, really need to compliment the security team at Cisco, because this is probably the one of the only companies I know where their default reaction is, no, we don't want to bury our heads in the sand. We want to take this seriously. We want to fix this. We want to fix it at the core.
Good.
They basically understand as a partner. Maybe we're suffering now. It's a little bit like the phrasing. Remember that there was when Tel Aviv did the subway.
The subway,
Yes.
Tel Aviv,
Yes.
light train.
The light train. So it used to say it's hard now, but then there's going to be relief, which is a little bit of a gameplay. For those who speak Hebrew, it was עכשיו קשה, אחר כך הקלה. Exactly, which means
then רכבת הקלה.
Which means that you're suffering now. You're suffering now, but eventually relief will come.
And relief is also in Hebrew. It's the same name for light train.
Yes.
Relief and light are actually the same name.
Yes.
Word.
It's from the unbearable lightness of being. Anyways, I think we've babbled enough.
Yeah, but give us the kind of like last minute of how to think about remediation, because we didn't solve the problem here. We just shed the light of how complex it is.
So from my perspective, the right way to deal with the remediation is have at least, let's call it 3 processes and plans. Plan number 1, what do you do in the case that an account got taken over? And what is your plan to remediate? And take into consideration the setup of your various applications.
Okay.
Understand if you're leaving Evercookies around. Specifically,
so you need
Slack.
to have the entire repository of applications and have a plan what to do when a person is popped.
Yes, especially with identity governance. Consider tools like Zilla or Conductor One or some of the other more modern IGA to mark applications as which application is hard to remediate.
Okay.
So you'll understand if customer impacted.
I'm sure you want to also practice it.
Yes.
That's always a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
It's always important to drill. So this is the account takeover. Second is you need a plan for coexistence. What happens when there's two people, a compromised session and a non-compromised session? How do you untangle that mess?
Mm-hmm. And train on that as well.
And train on that as well.
Okay.
And have your call center people with a way to verify identity. Make sure that identity verification to differentiate between because let's say you delete everything. Now, how do you start opening? How do you know that the person that's calling, because usually the person that will call first is the hacker. They're always more skilled. And they'll be able to pass your verification if your verification process
they
is not
might
good.
be in a better place then because you're actually going to give them the main session. Okay.
Make sure that you're not turning problem number 2 into problem number 1 with parallel sessions, and you turn it into basically.
I mean, that's why those attackers persist forever.
Yes.
They took over an account that doesn't, the human being doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
The former CMO of the company that was let go 2 years ago, and now they still have access to everything.
Yes. And the other thing that you need to understand is when there's a non-human identity related, because a lot of time, this is what I call, there's only one ass to kick. Most non-human identities have to be linked to a human. You can't fire an EC2 instance. You can't fire an MRI machine. Somebody needs to be responsible
for the MRI machine.
For the MRI machine, for the sensors, for the non-human identities. Those have to be linked to a human that's accountable. Only one human. Everybody says, but it's a team user. There is no such thing as a team user. If it's a team user, it means that nobody's responsible. There can be one person that owns and is responsible. Remember?
Okay.
And
the remediation will be through this existing human being, not just the non-human being.
Yes.
Identity.
And last but not least, make sure when you see a case where the policy is a problem, have a path to basically changing policy. This is what I like to call, this is my less reference this week, and that's the Red Queen problem. In Alice in Wonderland, the Red Queen says you have to run full speed just to stay in place.
Yep.
You have to practice the Red Queen always. Make sure you have a quarterly process to revisit your policy and ask yourself, take a look at your users, take a look at your users' applications behavior, and make sure that the policy you have in place actually does what you think it does.
Cool.
And with that,
I hope we help security identity team things about how to remediate compromised accounts. That's a common theme all of you are facing. If you have questions, reach out to Didi. He's an expert. Check out our companies and what we do over there. We make a living out of that, but you may like the solutions we offer and we can upgrade your identity stack. If you like us, please rate and review us wherever you get the podcast. We are a weekly podcast. The Didi and Lital Show will be here again next week. Until then, see you.
see ya.
Bye, Didi.
Bye, Lital.